y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, no, here comes the, oh, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that.
Ponta da pica, trava a buceta na ponta da pica, trava bus, trava bus, trava bus, trava bus, trava bus, trava bus. Toma, 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 toma na buceta. Levanta a mão, quem gosta de buceta.
James Naismith was a Scottish-Canadian-American physical educator and sports coach, best known as the inventor of the basketball game. Can you imagine that if he had never been born, we would have never witnessed such a beautiful game as basketball? We would have never seen LeBron's incredible dunks, Jordan's legendary buzzer beater in the 1998 finals, and the most beautiful thing on this planet, Stephen Curry's three-pointers.
Oh, what a shot from Curry! With 0.6 of a second remaining!
Naismith is credited with inventing basketball. He decided to become a physical education teacher at McGill University for his 3 postgraduate years, and then went to Springfield, Massachusetts to study at the YMCA International Training School in the 1890s. While teaching there, Naismith realized he needed to invent an indoor game for the winter due to the weather conditions. After completing the YMCA Physical Director Training Program that had brought him to Springfield, Naismith was hired as a full-time faculty member in 1891. At the Springfield YMCA, Naismith struggled with a rowdy class that was confined to indoor games throughout the harsh New England winter and thus was perpetually short-tempered. Under orders from Lazar Gulick, head of physical education there, Naismith was given 14 days to create an indoor game that would provide an athletic distraction. Gulick demanded that it would not take up much room, could help its track athletes to keep in shape, and explicitly emphasized to make it fair for all players and not too rough. Naismith was later employed to teach physical education using 2 boxes. He told the superintendent he needed the 2 boxes to be put onto a pole so a large ball could be thrown into them. In his attempt to think up a new game, Naismith was guided by 3 main thoughts. Firstly, he analyzed the most popular games of the times: soccer, American football, hockey, and baseball. Naismith noticed the hazards of a ball and concluded that the big, soft soccer ball was safest. He noticed that the most physical injuries would occur with players being in direct contact. Due to this discovery, players were not permitted to run with the ball. Instead, they had to throw it from the spot where they caught it. In addition, the ball was to be held only with the hands. The arms and body could not be used to cradle and carry the ball. Finally, to further reduce physical contact, Naismith decided to make the goal open to all players by placing it high above the players' heads, with the plane of the goal's opening parallel to the floor. This made the goal unguardable, giving players an equal opportunity to score. In order to score goals, players would throw a soft, lobbing shot like that which had proven effective in his old favorite game, Duck on a Rock. For this purpose, Naismith asked a janitor to find a pair of boxes, but the janitor brought him pitch baskets instead. Naismith christened this new game basketball and put the thoughts together in 13 basic rules. The first game of basketball was played in December 1891. In a handwritten report, Naismith describes the circumstances of the inaugural match. In contrast to modern basketball, the players played 9 versus 9, handled a soccer ball, and instead of shooting at 2 hoops, the goals were a pair of pitch baskets. When Mr. Trabbins brought up the pitch baskets to the gym, I secured them on the inside of the railing of the gallery. This was about 10 feet from the floor, one at each end of the gymnasium. I then put the 13 rules on the bulletin board just behind the instructor's platform, secured a soccer ball, and awaited the arrival of the class. The class did not show much enthusiasm but followed my lead. I then explained what they had to do to make goals, tossed the ball up between the 2 center men, and tried to keep them somewhat near the rules. Most of the fouls were called for running with the ball, through tackling the man with the ball was not uncommon. In contrast to modern basketball, the original rules did not include what is known today as a dribble. Since the ball could only be moved up the court by a pass, early players touched the ball or their heads as they ran up court. Also, following each goal, a jump ball was taken in the middle of the court. Both practices are obsolete in the rules of modern basketball. In a radio interview in January 1939, Naismith gave more details of the first game and the initial rules that were used. I showed them 2 pitch baskets I would nailed up at each end of the gym, and I told them the idea was to throw the ball into the opposing team's pitch basket. I blew a whistle and the first game of basketball began. The boys began tackling, kicking and punching in the clinches. They ended up in a free-for-all in the middle of the gym floor. The injury told several black eyes, one separated shoulder, and one player knocked unconscious. It certainly was murdered. Names changed some of the rules as part of his quest to develop a clean sport. The most important one was that there should be no running with the ball, that stop tackling and slugging. We tried out the game with those rules and we didn't have one casualty. Let's introduce the original 13 rules of basketball. First one, the ball may be thrown in any direction with one or both hands. The ball may be batted in any direction with one or both hands, never with the fist. A player cannot run with the ball. The player must throw it from the spot on which he catches it. Allowance to be made for a man who catches the ball when running at a good speed if he tries to stop. The ball must be held in or between the hands. The arms or body must not be used for holding it. No shouldering, holding, pushing, tripping or striking in any way the person of an opponent shall be allowed. The first infringement of this rule by any player shall be counted as a foul. The second shall disqualify him until the next goal is made, or if there was evident intent to injure the person for the whole of the game, no substitute allowed. A foul is striking at the ball with the fist, violation of rules 3, 4 and such as describes in rule 5. If either side makes 3 consecutive fouls, it shall count a goal for the opponents. Consecutive means without the opponents in the meantime making a foul. A goal shall be made when the ball is thrown or batted from the grounds into the basket and stays there, providing those defending the goals do not touch or disrupt the goal. If the ball rests on the edges and the opponent moves the basket, it shall count as a goal. When the ball goes out of bounds, it shall be thrown into the field of play by the person first touching it. In case of a dispute, the referee shall throw it straight into the field. The thrower in is allowed 5 seconds. If he holds it longer, it shall go to the opponent. If any side persists in delaying the game, the referee shall call a foul on that side. The umpire shall be judge of the man and shall note the fouls and notify the referee when 3 consecutive fouls have been made. He shall have power to disqualify man according to Rule 5. The referee shall be judge of the ball and shall decide when the ball is in play, in bounds, to which side it belongs, and shall keep the time. He shall decide when a goal has been made and keep account of the goals with any other duties that are usually performed by a referee. The time shall be 2 15-minute halves with 5 minutes rest between. The side making the most goals in that time shall be declared the winner. In case of draw, the game may by agreement of the captains be continued until another goal is made. Naismith invented the game of basketball and wrote the original 13 rules of the sport. For comparison, the NBA rule book today features 66 pages. The Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts is named in his honor, and he was an inaugural inductee in 1959. We must be grateful to him for his incredible contribution to our beautiful game. James Naismith didn't just invent a game, he sparked a global sport rooted in Canadian values of teamwork and respect. Thank you for your attention to my first video, and may the force be with you.